When you have a British friend, you don't need an inner critic. So we're talking about my friend Richard, my longtime friend. Our friends call us the old married couple because of our dynamic of bickering in public. Mostly it's him being really critical of me, but he does it in a British accent, so I don't really pay attention to anything he says. Like, I'll make a really minor mistake, and he'll just be, "Oh, Dan, you're so stupid." And my own inner critic is like, you know, he's good. I like this guy. I do find some value in it sometimes. Like, I'll say something mean. Like, "Oh, that woman's not that attractive." And Richard turns to me and says, "Well, you're no oil painting, Dan Curtis." We met this guy hiking one time. He was like, "Man, y'all are rough on each other." I'm like, "Yeah, that's our relationship." Richard is he also grew up in South Africa, so he is crazy. And at the same time, I am way too amenable to his crazy ideas. A few years ago, he was really into storm chasing. And storm chasing, to me, is this exciting, difficult, dangerous, and stupid activity where the point is to risk your life to make a video of a tornado and then sell it to the Weather Channel for $25. So June 2009, he calls me up one morning and says, "Hey, let's go storm chasing." I said, "The sky's blue, it's a beautiful day," but he wanted to go anyway. And I said, "Okay, the sky's blue. There won't be any tornadoes. How risky could this be? What could possibly go wrong?" A few hours later, I was running through the tall grass in just my underwear. So I'll explain how all that happened. On the afternoon when we were storm chasing, we were out in eastern Colorado, in Tornado Alley, as it's called, and the sky was black by that point, and we were using a Doppler radar app on Richard's iPhone to follow this storm system. And the storm system, it's red and purple like a bruise, or like roadkill entrails. It's scary because they want people to stay away from it, I guess. And so we chased this storm system for a couple hours, and it did produce a tornado, but we never saw it because we made bad choices. On our chase, we were on this muddy dirt road, and we came across this huge mud puddle, as wide as the whole road and 50 yards long. It was like a lake with these banks on each side. And I was driving, and because it was Richard's car, I asked him if I should go into it. He said, "Yes, just go slowly." Okay, now that right there, that's a bad choice. So I drove in a few yards, and we were just stuck in this mud. And what we should have done at that moment was to call a tow truck, but that would have felt like asking for help. So we didn't do that. So I'm shifting from drive to reverse to drive to reverse, trying to rock this car, and it's not working, it's still stuck. So I have the idea to get out and push, because doing something physical is how I deal with Richard's anxiety. My plan was to push a 3,700-pound Audi A8, 230 horsepower, 8 cylinders, that had just been driven into a lake by 2 idiots. So I took off my shoes and socks because I didn't want to get them dirty. And I took off my shirt and my shorts because I didn't want to get them dirty. Paint a picture here. So I get out of the car. I'm standing in front of the car in 8 inches of water and 12 inches of this thick, sticky, sandy mud in my tighty-whities, which are old, and they're not so tight, they're not so white anymore. They're like an old mattress with a lot of history, you know? I wear black ones now. I feel much better about myself. There should be like a law or something, but anyway, so I'm staying in front of the car, and Richard puts in reverse, and I push, and it's useless because the car's hung up on the mud, meaning the car is now supported as much by the mud pushing on the undercarriage as it is supported by the wheels. So I climb out of the mud puddle, and I'm standing at the side of the road in my underwear, and then Richard really hits the gas, and it goes back, and then it stops, and then he goes forward, it stops, and then he goes back, and then forward, and he's going back and forth, bigger and bigger strokes, more and more power, until finally he's ripping back and forth, and when he's in reverse, the tailpipe is just spitting this water and mud, and then it starts to rain, and I'm standing there in nothing, and hang on, cotton mouth, and this whole time, by the way, his dog was in the car. He brought his dog along with him, and his dog is this big stoic husky, and he's just sitting there like, oh God, we are so going to talk about this when we get home. And so I was starting to worry about the car. Can't be good for it. And I'm starting to worry about Richard, too. And so I start cheering for them. Yeah, go, go. So I'm running up and down the side of the road in the tall grass, in my underwear, in the rain, shooting a video. And then the last reverse shot, he bolts out of the puddle. And we get in the car and we start driving. And then, but all these lights go up because the water has ruined the electrical system. We break down in front of this farmer's house. Farmer comes out. He says, now, boys, was this an instance of 30 seconds of stupidity causing $8,350 worth of damage, but when you tell the insurance company you drove into a mud puddle by accident, they'll pay for it? Yes, it was. Yes, it was.